If you own a home here in the Pacific Northwest, there are four major home maintenance issues that could be quietly destroying your investment. Most people don't find out about these until it ends up costing them thousands of dollars. I see this all the time as a realtor. These things might not look scary at first, but they will absolutely show up on a home inspection, or even worse, after you've already moved into the home. Today, I'm breaking down the four pillars of home maintenance Pacific Northwest homeowners neglect, so you can protect your home and your investment as well. Hey gang, it's me, Gunner, was sold by Scott at Think Real Estate. We got a little break in the weather before some more stormy weather ahead. Come with me as I show you my low-key, hassle-free home maintenance routine. The number one neglected maintenance item on any home is the roof. Of course, here in the Pacific Northwest, the number one enemy is the rain. Of course, it's starting back up today. Nowhere gets the rain more hard than your roof. We get it some days harder than others, but whenever we get a break in the weather, I like to do a little sweep off, take the blower up there. Never power wash your roof. This can strip your roof's defenses. It can also force water up under the shingles. It can crack shingles that are brittle from the sun. It can also void your roof's warranty, which, warranty is a big deal if you ever get some damage that you need help replacing. Little known fact, power washing can actually make the moss come back on your roof faster because it can make your roof more porous, giving the moss more areas to cling to when it comes back. And I don't know about y'all, but if you've ever had a neighbor power wash all of the moss from their roof over into your property, that can be pretty annoying too. So don't power wash, use a moss preventative treatment so it doesn't grow in the first place. Be careful getting up on your roof. Always make sure you're wearing shoes with proper traction. I like to wear these boots, got tons of tread. Do not get up there with like Converse flip-flops, something that has no traction. You don't want to fall off on your ass and hurt yourself, okay? You'll get into costing yourself way more money than replacing some shingles on your home. On your roof, make sure to pay attention around the vents. This is where you'll see debris built up, usually around the upper side of the vent. Just make sure to knock that debris off with a broom. If you see moss build up here, you can just knock that off as well. I like to hit this area, especially with moss remover or a moss preventative when I'm up there cleaning it. These areas can especially hold on to moisture on the roof, which will lead to damage in the long run. Most important things to know is just that you should be inspecting your roof at the very minimum of once per year. Most people never get up on their roof until it is too late, when it is time to sell, and then there's buyers asking them to replace the roof because it looks like shit. So do yourself a favor, and when you can, get up on the roof. If you don't feel comfortable, call someone. Call your realtor, ask for help. Inspect your roof after major storms. You want to catch damage early. Moss thrives in Portland's damp climate and can lift shingles, trap moisture, and accelerate deterioration. It can also hide other damage. So if you've got a really mossy roof, you might not see that you've got damaged shingles or cracked caulking around some of the vents on your roof. So you want to make sure that you're not getting that moss buildup so that it doesn't become a problem. Once I'm done cleaning and inspecting my roof and making sure there's no damage, I move on to the number two biggest maintenance item on homes that people neglect, and that is the gutters. Gutters oftentimes are full of debris on homes that I look at, and one of the number one signs of crawl space and moisture issues on any home is when I walk around and I can see a line of where the water has been overflowing from the gutters. That tells me that there is no water flow management plan on this home, and the water's just been overflowing right along the foundation. And that's 80 to 90% of the time a sign that we're gonna find mold or moisture in the crawl space, and it's something that our buyer's gonna have to deal with on the inspection. Gutters are such a dreaded maintenance item, but I find if I'm up on the ladder a few times every winter, just scooping out some of the debris, maybe I don't have as bad of gutters as some people, or maybe I'm just lucky with not having a ton of trees over my property, but a few times a season, and I find that it doesn't become such a huge issue. When your gutters are full of debris, and the water is flowing over the front and over the back of them, the thing that you have to really watch out for is that it's rotting the wood and the fascia board that's behind the gutter. So that's going to destroy the fascia, the trim, the soffits of your home. And a lot of that damage you might not see because the gutters are blocking it. It might be under the roof, it might be under the flashing. These are things that are not going to become apparent until you have a buyer do a home inspection, and it's going to probably take you by surprise unless you are maintaining these on a yearly basis. Look for signs of gutter issues. Those would be overflowing water during rain, sagging sections, rust, holes, or debris buildup, water pooling near the house or foundation. This is a big sign of trouble, guys. So once I've cleared my gutters and made sure that they're ready to handle the next onslaught of Portland rain, I moved down to the next biggest neglected home maintenance item, which is the downspouts of the home. When I bought this home, they did not have these great cleanouts, which I've gotten installed since. They weren't terribly expensive. I think to do the whole home, it was about $1,300 to $1,400. But I do highly recommend getting the cleanouts, especially if you have trees over the top of your home, because it adds one other point where you can easily access debris and clean out, so you don't have to get up on a roof or a ladder as often. So once I've gotten down here, I make sure that these cleanouts are clean. I also make sure any of my spouts that are still connected to the French drains, that those are not plugged and that they're running clear. You can see on my home, I've disconnected some of my stormwater downspouts into little rain gardens. I was having a problem with mine overflowing because the previous owner never cleaned out the debris, and so they just filled up. And I guess the French drains are just completely full of debris now. One thing that I hate to see on homes when I do tours and inspections, I know some people might think that they're cute aesthetically, but the rain chains, these are something that I do not recommend folks buy. Yeah, it might splash and look cute, but what you're really doing is if you have these close to your foundation of your home, you are just flinging water all over. And I see people saturating the entire corner of their home with water, and I've seen some really extensive foundation damage because of this. So, you know, if you're doing this somewhere, make sure it's decorative, make sure it's not close to your foundation. You really want to make sure water's flowing a minimum of 2 to 3 feet from the foundation of your home. Once my downspouts are all clean and taken care of, and I know that the water is being directed away from the foundation of my home, I do a walk of the entire foundation, because the foundation is the number 4 biggest neglected maintenance item of the home. A lot of people just don't know what to watch out for when taking care of their foundation. I see a lot of vegetation, trees, bushes right next to people's homes. This I really don't recommend folks do, because not only does it block the sight lines of your home, so you might not be noticing cracks, but it also prevents light. So your foundation, the soil might not be drying properly. It might be holding more moisture, and the more that roots and stuff grow near your foundation, the more opportunity that you're giving for things to just go wrong. So I do recommend people don't do landscaping specifically close to the foundation unless, you know, they are specific plants or flowers that are approved for near foundation planting. Watch for negative grading near the foundation. You don't want water sloping in towards the home. You ideally want it sloping away, or to have a, you know, neutral grading. Any moisture buildup near the home is a big no-no, so look for that. Look for moss. This would be telling you that there is regularly a buildup of moisture around the home, and any condensation lines that you see in addition to your downspouts, you want to make sure that the water dripping from those is directed away from your foundation as well. Portland soils can include clay and silt that expand with moisture. These can be especially stressing on foundations here, so pay attention to your foundation during wet seasons. Small hairline cracks can be normal, but if you see them widening, if you see horizontal cracks, if you see stair-stepping cracks, diagonal cracks, these are often indicative of movement that really needs to be evaluated. So contact a professional, have someone evaluate it, and see what they say. The other thing that I recommend every homeowner in Portland has around this time of year is some de-icer in their home. Fuck ice. Even if you're not expecting ice right now, you should always have de-icer around your home in the Portland winter, because when you need it, that's the last time you want to be going to the store and having to scramble to get it. We've had some pretty epic ice storms around here, and when everybody's slipping and sliding and trying to do business with an inch of ice on everything, the person who has a bucket or two of de-icer on hand, you're going to be the hero. I've had these on hand and been able to rescue a couple clients who were getting ready for moving day. You know, I've saved my own butt just on my back patio, you know, because it's so wet over here, just walking the dogs back and forth. I like to sprinkle this down during the wet and cold season because I never know when I'm gonna wake up and it's, you know, frozen overnight. So I'm just gonna throw some of this down as well since it's freezing. So as a busy professional, I don't have, you know, days on end to spend on home maintenance. These are just things I like to spend an hour or two on when we get a break in the weather. Get up on the roof, get up on the ladder, you know, pay attention to the gutters, the foundation, the walkways, you know, split it up over a day or two. But if you can do these in between little storms in the winter, it's definitely gonna save you thousands of dollars in the long run, and it's gonna keep the investment of your house strong for years to come. If you're a homeowner or thinking about becoming one, and you want real, honest advice about homes in Portland, I'm Scott Gunner Friesen with Sold by Scott at Think Real Estate. Follow, reach out anytime, and I'll see you in the next video.